Hey nesters, welcome back to Nesting Haven. Today we're heading to Goodwill to do some thrift shopping. I went out of town for some thrifting because you guys know my local Goodwill has been shut down for renovations for over a month now. So I went for a couple hours drive and went to 4 different Goodwills this day, so you guys can stay tuned to look forward to that to see all the Goodwills I was able to check out. I first walked into the store and I glanced through the children's books. I was happy to see that they were marked at 95 cents a piece, but a lot of the ones I was pulling out did have some significant damage to them. They weren't all together, they were ripped and stuff. I did pick up these two there, the Bambi and the Charlotte's Web. I looked at the Bambi one, I had to put that back as well because there were pages ripped out of that one, but I did pick up Charlotte's Web, and you guys will see that in my thrift haul, so make sure you are subscribed so you can catch the thrift haul of everything I picked up today. It was funny because I recently picked up one of these Gemco juicers in red, so I was excited to find the orange, but I did put it back on the shelf. There was a couple of cracks in the side of the glass and the plastic wasn't in the best shape. It had some condition issues, so ultimately I put it back. I still kind of wanted to get it because I'm trying to collect them in all the colors, but I'll look out and find one in a little bit better condition. I chuckled a little bit to myself when I saw this Tunisian bear picture because this is the same store that I found the Tunisian bear glasses in that I've sold. I picked them up here when I visited the Goodwill bins several months ago. So it was kind of comical that I was able to find another piece that goes to that set. I really liked this transferware plate. It's very beautiful. I love it when I can find it in this red color. They technically call it pink. And this is a Copland Spodes Tower plate. It recently sold for $22 shipped, so it was unfortunate that it had some damage, as you could see there. I thought this bowl was super pretty. I love the hand-painted florals on it, and yeah, I just thought overall it was really nice. Lusterware is making a comeback, and I've been seeing it quite a bit lately. I really wanted to get this plate, but it wasn't the price that was staring me away. When I was reflecting it in the light, I could see lots of fine scratches in it, so I put it back because of that reason. I didn't want to get it with scratches. And I looked at a lot of the plates, but there was just a lot of one-offs. This here, I recognized it right away. This is a vintage Salem plate. Well, I guess they're bowls, but I previously had picked up plates in this, so that's why I knew what they were, even though it wasn't marked on the bottom. And there was 2 bowls there, so I got it for a fairly decent price. I think I can do okay on selling those. They tend to go for decent. And I really thought this was absolutely stunning. This is a hand-painted Japan bowl. It's in this beautiful orange. You don't see the orange too much, right? And yeah, it had one little condition issue there. So I did think about this one for quite a while to see if I wanted to get that with that little teeny paint wear. This was kind of an interesting plate. It had a kind of 3D effect on where the Niagara Falls was. It was almost beaded. So I don't know if I really cared for that too much. It was interesting. I'd never seen that before. The Christmas glasses I was just looking at, I was pointing out to you there, the rims were worn down. One kind of had some gold trim around it still, and the other didn't, so I opted to leave it behind. Had they either all not had the trim on the top or was fully intact, I definitely would have picked them up. I thought they were quite beautiful. I almost picked up this watering can here. It looked kind of vintage to me, and then I picked it up and I wasn't quite sure once I saw the barcode. So I was going to set it back down. I was like, I don't know, maybe I can just use it for myself. But then I noticed it had something that originally came with it that was not with it, so I just opted to leave it behind. I wasn't sure if it was going to work properly. I'm sure it would have been fine. This elephant was kind of cute here. It was all blinged out. Definitely not a vintage piece though, so I did not take it with me. And yeah, they were pretty sparse compared to what I'm used to at my usual Goodwill. I'm used to having a decent selection of figurines and knickknacks to sift through, so it was a little, disappointing, like I said. But I did find this. This is a more of a modern item, but I really liked it. It's a quarterback football player. It's kind of painted bronze. It's this resin piece. This bell was really beautiful as well. I don't have a lot of luck selling bells, so I did leave it behind only for that reason, but I don't know. I'm kind of looking at it now thinking maybe I should have got it. It's pretty unique. The next thing that caught my eye was this teapot picture here. It's one of those plastic wall decor pieces you can hang up, and I just thought it was adorable that it was a teapot and it had the florals on it. And the price was right. I do really well selling these types of items, so I definitely tossed that in my cart. They had some wooden candlesticks there that were kind of interesting. This caught my eye. I have no idea what it's used for. It says it's a love lamp, and it had this like dragon on it. I really wasn't sure what was going on with this thing, but the box was kind of cool. I didn't end up getting it just because I really didn't know what the market would have been on for it, but it was interesting for sure. They did seem to do their end cap similar to my Goodwill where they color coded, but they were pretty sparse as well. I did like the looks of this handmade pottery bowl here, and it was just done in like a high school or something, it looked like by the signature, but it was really nicely made, I thought. I was looking for vintage, of course, so a lot of the stuff they had was very modern, but I did find this vintage Ambarina dish here, and it was in good shape. A lot of times I will find them a little bit chipped, or if it's a flashed paint, it'll be worn off, but this seemed to be in pretty good shape, and I really liked the size too. It's a really nice candy dish. This mold caught my attention. I just thought it was really unique how it was like a gingerbread house. And when I flipped it over, I was surprised to see it was a longer burger pottery piece. I thought they only made baskets. I'm not super familiar with the company, but I know them as basket makers. So I did set this in my cart to look up, and the comps on them, they weren't selling for very much to justify paying the price for it and trying to ship it out. So I didn't pick it up, but it was really neat, and I'm glad to have that knowledge that they didn't just make baskets. This was a cool piece as well. It's like a fish cutting board, and you can, be able to tell how long your fish is and stuff like that. It was, I think, like $10 or something like that. It would have been really cool for my antique booth probably, but I opted not to get that either. It's kind of in rough shape. They had these beautiful iridescent Jesus and Mary bust here, and they are actually a Holland mold, which was kind of interesting. So I had never seen those before. They had this little snack set. It was just a single on the bottom there, and I wasn't sure where, it was only one that it would sell very well. Usually people like at least a set of two, so it was cute though. I always take a deep breath and give myself a little pep talk. Here we go, right? When I see a big pile of glass frames like this. But I always like to look through in case I can find any crewel or cross stitch or anything kind of neat that's painted or anything like that. And they did have this hand painted fruit picture here. It was kind of interesting. I didn't get it, but it's kind of scratched up on the bottom there, but it was kind of nice. But yeah, I just kept looking through all of it. Mostly they were picture frames, which I find to be kind of boring. I know there's a market for it, but I don't tend to pick them up. Yeah, this really cute sign in the back and Homer rocking out here. But I will show you the sign in the back here in a second, you'll see. It looks like someone probably gifted this for a couple for their wedding. Probably a mother and father gave it to one of their kids, their daughter perhaps. And I thought it was really sweet. It says, as you enter together the pathway of life and follow each winding way, may you find but joy and happiness at the end of the road each day. And though you may find a seamy side and some days of cloudy weather, may each cloud have a silver lining of love as you go through life together. So I thought that was really precious. I didn't get it, but I really enjoyed the sentiment of it. So I saw this painting in the back here, and I had to turn it the right way so I could step back and kind of observe it for a minute to see if I wanted to purchase it. I do like blue and green. It just seemed to be on the darker side for me. I kind of like more brighter things, so I didn't really want the kind of dusk painting, I guess. So I did pick up this really beautiful duck picture here. It's kind of that metallic reflective picture, and I usually do grab those if I see them. I just kind of think they're neat. Now these here were really cool. They were a set of three, and they had them priced at $5 a piece, which is something, a little bit more than I usually would like to pay for a picture at Goodwill. But I really liked how they were made. They said they were one of a kind. They kind of have this lace around the frame, and then they have Victorian ladies in the center there. They had this teddy bear picture frame here. It is in this heavy wood, and it was kind of neat if you're into teddy bears. I didn't pick it up, but I feel like someone could enjoy it. It didn't hang up on the wall, and it was super heavy. Had it maybe had the option of hanging on the wall, I might have picked it up, but where it was just a tabletop one, I just felt it was a little bit too unique. I don't know. This one here with the florals around it, again, was really cute, but I didn't see any way to hang it up, so I opted to leave that behind as well. I really like this Never Stop Exploring sign. Obviously, it's a newer piece, but I'm into kind of anything to do with globes and maps. This was kind of a nice painting they had in the back here. I like any kind of landscape painting, especially with mountains in it, so I was drawn to this. The colors were a little bit more on the fall. I try to stick to ones that kind of you can just look at year-round. I feel like anything that's too seasonal is a little bit hard to keep out year-round, so I opted to leave that behind. These I had no idea what they were. I thought they were painted really cool, and I was trying to think, do you hang it up on the wall? Was it some kind of wall art or something? But I don't know if someone just was having fun with learning how to do wood shop or something and just happened to glue these and paint them all together. I really don't have a clue what these were supposed to be used for. If you guys have any ideas, please let me know. I glanced at their linen section real quick. I was looking for kind of quilts or afghans and stuff like that, and they had a couple of the baby ones there. I usually don't pick up the baby blankets like that, but I didn't really find much. I found a few bigger afghans on the bottom side of this rack here. We'll get to in a second. I think they'll be here in a minute. Okay, here we are. I like the color of this rust kind of orange one there, but it wasn't very large. It was kind of a rectangular shape, and it just seemed kind of weird. And I do like granny square blankets, but all the crocheted and knitted blankets I keep finding lately are very pilly, and it was like they used low quality yarn to make them or something. So I just feel like they just don't look as nice that way, and I don't think they're going to sell. I checked out the handbags briefly, and I picked up one out of all of these. They did have a pretty good selection there today, and their prices were right about where my local Goodwill usually is. I really like this one in the back here with the kind of leather bottom and the red, white, and blue stripes. This one here with the cats on it was quite adorable as well. I really enjoyed the material. I spied this LL Bean bag in the back here, and it did have a name embroidered on it. I was hoping it wasn't. I do live where LL Bean items show up very frequently. LL Bean is in my state, so I do happen upon that quite frequently. I might have still been able to resell it, but I don't know how it goes over very well with someone else's name on it. It'd be very specific, I would feel. I went over and looked at the cookbooks at the end of my trip because I wasn't finding very much in the store, and frankly I enjoy looking at the cookbooks. So they had a pretty decent selection, a lot more compared to what I've been having to deal with looking at the last month, so I was happy to see so many available. So we'll go ahead and check it out and see what they had in their store today. I called my husband over for an assist here because they had a zip tie on the end here where I was trying to look at the books. They were already falling down, and I was a little worried all of them were going to tumble down, so he came over to help me get the one down that I was trying to look at. So I saw this one. It looked to be pretty vintage, a freezer cookbook, and so I found a spot where I could look through it. It didn't have any pictures in it, and especially with the older books, I tend to just like to have pictures. It gets a little monotonous looking through the kind of cookbooks with no photos, I feel like. So I didn't get it. I think they had it a little bit pricey, but this one was really neat. It's a country music stars cookbook, and you can see all the signatures inside of all of the artists, and then there are recipes that are personal family recipes of the artists, I would guess. So I thought that was really neat, and I did pick that one up. I picked up a few more cookbooks on my way out and a couple of vintage ones. Overall, I really enjoyed going to this store, and it was interesting to be able to get out of town and check out a few new Goodwills. So if you guys want to catch the thrift haul of everything I did purchase at this store today, stay tuned for the video tomorrow. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and that notification bell, that little bell that is gray, click that, then you'll be notified when the thrift haul video is up. And thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.